What up, random rockers? So, Allegaeon, or Allegaeon, however you say it, and the new album APOPTOSIS that came out this past Good Friday. And, once again, another album I didn't get a hold of. So, but I've kind of started. It was more so the recent effort of Proponent of Sentience and the consistent amount of times I've wound up listening to that I wanted to check out and see what they were going to willingly do next. I didn't get a chance to deep dive into the past 2 records prior, or 3. I think it's 2. But anyway, just be able to say, so we'll just say either 4th or 5th album, studio album. Anyway, they're from Denver, Colorado. And this is 11 tracks total here. Most of their music, they're technically a melodic. I'll be saying that word a lot. Get your shots ready. Unless you're under the age or driving, don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, I'm in a car, so yeah, don't do it. And so this album, essentially, the first thing I heard from this album has been the second to last track on this album, stellar title Disruption. It's pretty good. Definitely wasn't at first, but it was good. It was good, but it just didn't hit me in ways that the last few tracks had, and I didn't get full-on vibes of it. I didn't get a chance. I know Extremophiles B was like the follow-up single, but I never really bothered with it. Listening to it, though, I felt like, I'll just wait till the album comes out. And, here we are. Or at least until it's streamed in my current case, I guess. Alright, so how does this stack up compared to Proponent of Sentience? That one was definitely had some melodic, it's melodic death metal and technical death metal. And they find a way to blur the lines between the two. This album seems to have a little bit more of a blackened edge, which, given that there's been some, I believe, some form of influence towards Opeth, maybe Neo Alvascaris, but more likely Opeth, especially Blackwater Park. At least the production on the last record kind of had a feel for it, or at least, if not that, whatever Steven Wilson produced album that did require the more metal side of the band. Maybe Deliverance. Even if Deliverance didn't seem to offer as much. I got to re-deep dive. In fact, I want to be getting those albums at some point. So, first track is instrumental, intro kind of a thing. Parthen. I'm going to be butchering a lot of these, by the way. Parthenogenesis, which I can't really, there's a lot of science things, so in terms of the majority of the words here, except some of the tracks that happen to be kind of my meh tracks here and there, for the most part, it's a lot of big science words, because a lot of their music is basically, through the power of death metal, blinding me with science. This is where we're going with. A lot of science. But I think mostly involving water, and I guess possibility of a society being, I guess, eventually overrun or at least with water from probably being submerged. It seems that's what it seems is happening. It's a society that's probably on an island that's eventually, I guess, gets submerged underwater, like an Atlantis kind of a or at least an Atlantis type of situation, I guess, in terms of lore. That's my guess. I'm probably wrong. You can tell me in the comments. But or if I'm on par and not without barely knowing much, then thanks for that. This was a good start, and it made me realize, okay, they hadn't completely disavowed anything they'd done before, because Stellar Title Disruption, when I first heard it, made me wonder, is this something like the earlier stuff that I've probably never heard? Because there's barely any cleans on the track. But there are cleans on this album, but it's used so sparingly, but yet they also have more of a thing for using the growls and the black metal screams, and then redundant pig squeal stuff that grindcore would do, that which nearly is probably what made me check out in Extremophiles, to the point where I didn't notice until the third listen that they actually had some cleans in it. Which, in that regard, I guess, for the most part, and the cleans he has are great, and he's proven that especially through the past couple years of doing 2 Rush covers, one from the last album with Subdivisions, and then releasing Reanimate as a single, sort of like a single through Bandcamp, and those were solid, and they were definitely something to hold us over, and that one was something to hold us over until they finally released this album, which is a different phase, I guess, from where they've been at before. And you could tell in production, there are moments on this when they do cleans, he does have a Maynard voice. I didn't think that at first, but I believe the Josh or Sam, or no, I think Josh, whatever the dude's name is, from Boehner TV, Metalheads, has kind of said is the prog metalhead, and he even said something to the extent there was some Maynard stuff, and I was like, I don't know about that, and I didn't really notice it until track 8, but we'll get to that. That's when things get good. Very interesting. It was fine. It's basically the 2 tracks, Genesis and Interface Meiosis, if I'm spelling that right, is where things get interesting. That's where a lot of the more noodly stuff that got me interested in the band in the first place, a la the Grey Matter Mechanics. There's probably another part of the title I'm forgetting, and that was fun. And that's where they kind of did the more flamenco style guitar acoustics, sticky sort of folk metal-ish type elements to their sound, which was really nice. Yes, they do kind of play it in a little bit in Interface, and they do get a little bit of a nice little groovy little which is, I guess, something you'd kind of seem to expect from most bands of, I guess, the more melodic death metal sound, and even the metalcore bands that kind of take from melodic death metal, or at least become the melodic metalcore or melodic metal type groups that have come out ever since. Their style has been very, and this is the most Tool in an undertow kind of way, when they do cleans in certain places. That's where and I'll get to that part. And Extremophiles is where I think things kind of do interesting. Then Secular Age and Exothermic Chemical Combustion, I barely remember much on them. Things do kind of lose itself a little bit for me, and it just kind of, they're fine, they're serviceable, but they just don't click, especially when it gets to the point where you gotta hear the pig squealy, or the hog squeals, and it's like, do you want me to hear your words or not? Because at least I kind of get something with the death growls here, because there's some form of clarity in your enunciations. I like that. That's part of the reason why I somewhat compare you to Opeth, and how Michael Eckerfeld kind of tries here and there. Not me, even though... And the thing is, he can clean sing, and he's proven that he can, as I've mentioned with the Rush covers, and the second to last track on... Proponent of Sentience 3, basically. Anyway. Files A. Whatever. Metaphobia is fine. You know what? Let's just get to it. Track 8. Tsunami and Submergence. The cleans on this, and when they do go into that certain passages, it's very Tool undertow. But in a different kind of way, and in a way that works. So dang well. I mean, there are other, I think Metaphobia is kind of, some of these tracks are kind of instrumental here and there. I guess Secular Age might have been, and I don't know it. Metaphobia and some Chemical Push. Maybe they're not. I don't remember which ones. I know there was like one that's somewhere in between there, but I can't remember. Before Colors of the Currents, which is a great instrumental. It's a nice little breather to kind of break away from the monotony a heck of a lot more, and kind of get you back to the thing that got you wanting to get into the record with the opener of Parthenogenesis. Science. But Tsunami and Submergence, just those passages are great. Oh, so good. Colors, and I'm fighting a fly, sorry. If you see him, I don't got him. Fucking fly. Get it the fuck out of here. Fucking flies. So, yes, then that little, especially going in and building into our lead single, Stellar Title Disruption, even the way they hit on those tracks, it's nice. But the closing title track has this, and the melody of it is really good on this track, even though when it does go into heavier moments, they still have managed to keep some of that good melody that starts the track off, and it does get a little operatic in a good way with his cleans. The most Maynard, of course, like I said, was Tsunami of Submergence, and that whole passages in some of the verses, first and second kind of verses here and there, I guess you could say verses, are very good. You go from that to some sort of thing like that, or apparently I guess the dude from Whitechapel was a comparison, but I never really listened to Whitechapel to say that, so I would say something more along the lines of maybe whoever's from At the Gates, or Hates with what they did with Slaughter the Soul, I guess, with what they brought out of melodic, maybe early In Flames in terms of what melodic death metal was, I guess you could say, and then mixed in with whatever we got out of maybe a Still Life, Blackwater Park, Opeth kind of a thing. Maybe the album prior to that, that's name escapes me, and I need to figure that out at some point. He's back. Fucking fly. Anyway, but Apoptosis just has a nice little passage, and they do kind of go to it again a little bit, closer to the end. And they do kind of fade out and close out pretty well. Enough to make me want to come back to this record, despite certain moments I have with it, but weirdly enough, even with those moments, I'm still, and despite my little gripings here and there, especially the fact that I wish they would use their cleans a heck of a lot more, especially if you have those Maynard cleans and stuff like that he does here, which he was never really all that Maynard sounding when it came to the last record, though there are moments that remind me of this, how his vocals were, his clean vocals were from the last one in this record, but not as much here. But you're definitely, like I said, with Tsunami and Submergence, definitely a very, very, very clean, very Undertow-esque era Tool passages, but in a good way, to the extent where I'm hoping that if it comes across, if an execution like these pass anything, Tool will come up. If Tool's new album, I was worried about the new Undertow thing, the new album being more Undertow-esque, but longer, and I'm like, I don't know. But if the passages do come off more kind of like this, and maybe still throw in some of them more lateralist, and I'm not saying just to play on the safe side, which they kind of already did with 10,000 Days, but, you know, if it comes across like it does in these passages here, I think I can accept it far more, I'll say that. So it's a good, nice little prep up, I guess you could say, to go into whatever Tool's new album will turn out to be. And overall, I'm in a debatable spot of thumbs up in this, actually. I dig it. I dig it. And I wouldn't say it's the best. Sorry for whatever you're hearing over there. But I'd like to say it's the best start. It's not the best way to start on, as I would say definitely last record would be, but I definitely enjoyed this surprisingly more than Periphery. But that could still change possibly in the years, depending on what comes out. And when I do my year-end look back of albums, I guess. But I did enjoy this thing quite a lot. I got a little more out of it than what I was initially expecting, so... Or at least that's probably why I like this a little bit better than P4, but... I don't like it, but for those who think I hate it, I don't, man. Hate that record, I don't. I still like it. I'm going to get the album anyway, because I'm going to collect it anyhow, so it's like, in this one, I'm hoping to add to a collection and eventually getting Proponio Sentience. I still need to check out the earlier stuff, and maybe, who knows, I might just make a full collection with this band. We'll see, but Allegaeon, whatever, their APOPTOSIS, I think is how you really pronounce that. What did y'all think about it? Leave a comment below. Let me know. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I'll see you in the next video, which will be of an album I'm hoping I'll have names I can pronounce better and can talk a little bit more about in depth, possibly. We'll see. Take care, y'all.